I was going to actually ask you, because you said you were playing through Majora's Mask, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um, have you ever emulated any game?
I have actually. Okay, so funny story about that. I had a gaming PC, right? Okay, so let me back up a couple years. 2018, I had a regular laptop and I was going to school online. And the day before my first class, my laptop crashed. It just died. So I grabbed my buddy Salts because he knows about computers, and we ran to the store. And I said, "Hey, like I need your help, and I need a computer today, and I need it set up so I can go to school tomorrow." He said, "Okay." And the best computer they had there was like a gaming laptop.
Hmm.
So I picked that up like $600. I forgot what it was. Asus, whatever, Nitro, something. A decent laptop computer for like 650 or something. Okay, picked it up. And then I never really use it for gaming. And just kind of thinking to myself, well, this is kind of a waste. And I like gaming, but I'm a console gamer. So then I decided I wanted to try to stream and play games online through my PC or my laptop. So I did, it worked. And then I decided to emulate. And so I got into Dolphin, right, for GameCube. And then I got the idea, let me try to record and play at the same time. Well, then I melted that computer. So yeah, I have not touched emulation since. I've been terrified.
Fair enough. The reason I asked is because Steam Deck, as you know, I told you I have one, but that's like one of the main uses people use them for.
Mm-hmm.
Because the computing power is pretty good for a handheld. Obviously, it's not really a supercomputer by any means, but most of the emulation stuff doesn't really require anything crazy unless you're doing like PS3 or something like that. But I would assume that Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time would be relatively easy to emulate off of the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I don't know if because I know like PS2's emulator actually has like resolution scaling where you can bump up the resolution to make it look better.
Yeah.
Uh, I would assume that the N64 ones do as well, but I just figured, if you're having to jump through a bunch of hoops to do it, given that you have a new PC you're running your stream stuff off of, it's probably possible to do it there. But I can understand why you would be apprehensive if you
Yeah.
killed a $100 computer
Yeah.
doing the same.
Well, I think the what I had done is I used the same PC to I was emulating Wind Waker, right? And then recording it at the same time. And that's I was making that thing scream. And then yeah, one day it didn't wake up. So luckily it was like 2 years later and I'd put that thing through its paces because I would back in the day I picked up a PS4 from my buddy just because I never had PlayStation games and I wanted to play Spider-Man. And so then I just for kicks or shits and giggles I threw on Spider-Man on a stream and it blew up. I got like 100 subscribers just on that stream and all I did was play the game. Like I wasn't doing anything special. It kind of what made me get more confident in this. And I would do that like every other night. I'd stream some random game. And yeah, and then I put it a little too hard, but yeah. But
I
yeah.
have not played the newest Insomniac iteration of Spider-Man games, but I remember there was one that I played on, I think it was original Xbox. It might have been 360, but I had heard a critique, not to segue too hard, but I heard a critique of the new game uh, where someone was complaining because they were like, "Why do they have to put the Peter Parker stuff in the game? I just want to play as Spider-Man." And like, well, that's kind
Oh
of
yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
like you have to also see the human side of Spider-Man to like get the whole story. But the most memorable part of that Spider-Man game I remember playing was that you had to deliver pizza as Peter Parker without being Spider-Man at the same time, and it was a non-Spider-Man part of the game, and that's like the main part that I remember of that game. So it's weird to hear that as a critique of the new games.
Well, I get it because it slows everything down. You know, you play those games to swing from buildings and kill bad guys. You don't buy that game to play as a regular person. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah,
I certainly I get the critique of a person who like you or I who don't have a whole lot of time to play video games. And you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go play Spider-Man." And you only have like 30 minutes and then you get stuck in one of those
yeah,
segments and
yeah. It's
oh, you
frustrating.
beat Peter Parker.
Yeah. So let me
Yeah.
back up here. I didn't do this the proper way I should have as like an actual host, but can you introduce yourself to who you are and let us know how you got into gaming? And obviously you got a Steam Deck and you know a little bit about like, or you know something about Spider-Man, right? So like obviously you're playing modern games, but can you give me like who you are, where you came from, how you got in, like your whole history? Does that make sense? And how you got to where you are today in playing games?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Joe. My gamer tag or call sign, if you will, is Salmon Ears.
I love it.
That is a name that references a Chihuahua that I used to have because he had pink ears, and so we would call him Salmon Ears
Mm.
sometimes. So that was the first time I played video games online. Was when I got a gamer tag on Xbox in like 2008 or 9, which is where the original gamer tag came from. I've played video games like probably most people since I was a child, like super young. I remember getting my butt handed to me playing Contra. I don't think we ever made it more than 5 minutes into a game of Contra when I was a kid playing on NES. Punch Out. Uh, Punch Out with my brothers. I don't think we ever made it very far into that. It's actually kind of weird to think back how not far you made it into many video games as a
Yeah.
child that you just continuously played. But I owned the very first thing we owned was a PlayStation because we got it from an uncle who was becoming an adult at the time, and so he was getting rid of his video game stuff, and I think he probably regretted that relatively quickly and probably bought another PlayStation after that. But then we owned a N64, and then basically from that point on, we only got Xbox or Microsoft consoles. When we moved the first time, my parents bought us off by
Mm.
purchasing us a original Xbox. I say bought us off. When you have to move, it's a difficult time for your family. So my parents were trying to make it easier because they knew we were going to have friends going to a different city and stuff. So that kind of helped ease the tension for all of us. But um, then I got an Xbox 360 when those came out. Me and my brother both got 360s at the time, and I guess the main gaming memory I have from 360 is Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which kind of led me to other RPG-esque games after that. But then Xbox One, both of us got consoles again. My brother has been kind of a driving force in my interaction through video games. So he and I always get the same console, and it has led me down the rabbit hole to the newest Xbox console, which, due to Game Pass, means that I actually get to play video games without having to buy $70 video games, which is
Yeah.
nice.
It's fantastic.
But I have never had a gaming PC until the Steam Deck. That was kind of my foray into playing PC games. Obviously, I played Sims like most kids did at some point. Sims and SimCity, on an old Microsoft computer at some point. But Steam Deck kind of lets me bridge the gap a little bit and play some stuff that I otherwise wouldn't play. Which I'm sure if I had a proper gaming PC, I'd probably be playing more proper gaming PC-esque games, but it's kind of hard to play like RTS games on a Steam Deck. Not that you can't, but I don't even have a dock for mine. If I had a dock and could hook it up to an actual monitor, that'd probably be pretty helpful.
You can't just like plug a HDMI cable into it and just use it as a like a console?
So you have to have, because it's USB-C, you have to have like a dock that changes the USB-C into an HDMI that you can plug in the monitor.
Gotcha.
And then there's some that have, I think the official Steam Deck dock that Valve provides also has a display port that comes out as well, so you can use it with older monitors.
Okay.
But the one from Valve is like $70, and that's like a third of the cost of the console when I bought it. So I was like, me.
What model did you go with?
The base model, so
Okay.
64 gigabytes. My brother had a SD card that he let me borrow until I could kind of test it out, put it through the ropes to make sure it was what I, actually wanted it to be. Which was only like a 200 and I think his was 250. The card that he gave me to test with, and I had no issues with it. And then my original plan was to get the cheapest one possible, and then put in a 1 terabyte drive that I was going to split into a Windows and Linux operating system, and I never got around to adding the Windows side of that, but I did reflash the drive with SteamOS, and so I have a 1 terabyte drive. It just doesn't have Windows on it like I originally intended.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's more in the PC world than I really understand. Like, I know how to open my computer up and run small programs here and there, but that's cool.
Yeah, it was definitely more cumbersome than I'm used to. It wasn't difficult because there's good enough guides out there. I definitely think if I had, gone through the entire operating system stuff for Windows, it would have gotten a lot more difficult. Some of that stuff, because obviously the Steam Deck isn't designed to run Windows, but you can run it on there because it's a computer. You have to put a bunch of interesting like BIOS and I'm trying to remember what they're called. They're like little Windows plugins that allow the touchscreen to work appropriately and the joysticks to work appropriately. But from what I've seen, like it's basically just downloading it, but it's kind of uncomfortable because you never really know where you're downloading any of that stuff from.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's directly from Microsoft, but in other cases, like what is suggested by most people is that you don't put like Windows 11 directly on it because there's so much bloat with that operating system that you're getting a bunch of stuff that you're never going to use that's going to bog the system down and keep it from working appropriately. And so most people put in a custom version of Windows, which you have to download from someone else, and the questions of legality around that, because it's a operating system that's been edited, you should be paying for a key for it, and yeah. So I never really got around to that, but that was the next step I was gonna investigate and put some time into, because I've seen other people do it, and you can basically play anything if it's a Windows-based device. It may not play particularly well, but you can play it.
Okay. But if you have Game Pass, you use obviously the Microsoft Game Pass and your Steam Deck, and everything works fine right now, right?
You have to kind of jump through some hoops to get Game Pass to work appropriately on there, because Game Pass is designed to work with the Edge browser. So you can get stuff to work. It's just a little fuzzy sometimes, and it obviously with Game Pass in general, you have to have really low latency Wi-Fi. So I have had a good experience with that in our former house because we kind of controlled the internet, but it doesn't work particularly well where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But like it was pretty seamless after you set it up. There's just some hoops you got to jump through to add it, because there's two different sides for SteamOS. There's the SteamOS big picture game side, which is what you normally log into. Like it just boots you into that whenever you turn on the Steam Deck. And then there's the desktop side, which is more like a Linux desktop, where you have to do some stuff to kind of get into the more nitty gritty of the actual computer side. But you have to go in and kind of download some stuff and then save a link as a non-Steam game, and then it'll save it to big picture mode so that you can boot directly into Game Pass from Steam. It's just saved as a non-Steam game. You can save it, call it Game Pass or whatever. And then the boot window for that has to be adjusted based on the size. So you just have to, there's a launch protocol that you have to put into the little app thing, and it launches it appropriately. And it's pretty simple after it's been set up. It's basically just do it, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
And good internet, gotta have good internet.
Yeah, that sounds like a pain in the ass. So if I get a Steam Deck, I'll just stick to Steam games like Counter-Strike, and I don't even wait. You can't even play Counter-Strike there. Shit, I don't know what I'd play. I don't know, Tony Hawk or something.
That's the other caveat with Steam Deck that people kind of mention offhand. It kind of depends on preference, right? Because there's some games that you just don't want to play on a handheld.
Yeah.
Kind of like the RTS thing I was talking about. Like competitive shooters, for instance, a lot of those have anti-cheat associated with them. So basically, if you don't have a particular operating system, in most cases a Windows-based operating system, they can air you out, or they can basically ban you from certain games because they think that you're cheating. I've never tried to play a FPS game on Steam Deck. I guess I've played an FPS, but not an online FPS game. I've played Left 4 Dead, but not really a competitive shooter.
No.
But I have heard of people basically, like I said before, downloading Windows so that they can get past that and they can play first-person shooters, whether or not the experience is particularly great. I don't know. But it's weird because people talk really highly of the Master Chief Collection from Steam, because you can basically play that on max settings on the Steam Deck. Obviously, it's putting it out at 800p at max settings, but I guess it looks really good. But one would assume that most people who play the Master Chief Collection want to play with other people.
Yeah. Yeah, typically.
It's a multiplayer game, but
right. Well, I mean, you can just go through all the campaigns, but yeah, the majority of your time is going to be spent playing online.
Yeah.
So. Oh well. Okay. Well, what games are you playing right now? We kind of discussed this a little bit when we were together last week, but what game are you playing now?
So sadly, not a whole lot. My time recently has been, due to a move, has been condensed into smaller gaming sessions, which kind of cut down the things that I can actually play and enjoy. So I would say the majority of my time at this point, because my gaming sessions are so small, has been spent playing Vampire Survivors. I don't know if you've played that or not. Have you?
I have not.
So it's one of those games that you look at and you're like, this is really simple and dumb. I don't really get it. And then you play it and you kind of you're like, okay, I kind of get it. And then you play another one and you're like, I guess it kind of makes sense. Then you play another one. You're like, why am I still playing this?
Yeah.
And then 3 hours has gone by and you're like, I'm still playing this game. So you can play it in really short bursts, which is what's been useful for me. And then unlock certain things. You get coins for upgrades, but you're basically just this little character, and you can pick from you unlock more characters over time, but it starts out one of 4 characters, and then you unlock more, but each one has their own special ability, and you basically are just getting horde attacked by things.
Mm-hmm.
What would you call it? It's a top-down game. I don't remember what the term is for that, but you're basically just being swarmed by enemies constantly, and then you pick up things that level you up, that give you upgrades, and you get money to upgrade things in between. Whenever your game over is, then at the main menu you can upgrade different things. But it's nice because I can play 15 minutes and feel like I did something, and it's kind of I don't know what the term would be, very basic not thinking when you're doing it kind of gameplay. Kind of shut your brain off kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Previously, what I would have played to get the same kind of itch to shut my brain off would have been like, I don't know, college basketball, college football, something I can do where it's like just a 100% don't really have to pay attention. I'm just reacting.
Yeah.
But I played that a lot lately. I downloaded XCOM 2 to play it, and every time I get ready to do a mission on there, I get interrupted by my kiddo, so I haven't gotten to play that. I played it a long time ago, but that's on Steam Deck too, which is nice because a little different change of pace from the other stuff that I play on there. But I played Starfield recently. I only played about, I want to say 6 hours total. I got basically to where the main mission starts, and it lets you actually travel from system to system. I enjoyed playing it, but it was more of a time investment, as I mentioned to you before. One of those things that if I was going to play that game, I would like to have at least a solid hour block to play it, because it's difficult to figure out where I was, what the controls were. I don't have the same muscle memory with that as I would like a Skyrim or a Fallout, because those games I could basically play while I'm unconscious.
Yeah.
I played them times. What else? If you've ever heard of a game called Peggle.
No clue.
Nice. Peggle 2 it was an Xbox 360 game. It was on PC and stuff too. It was on lots of different things, but my kiddo forced me to sit on bed in the room where my Xbox is, and so I was trying to figure out a game that I could download that he might be interested in. Mm-hmm. Something simplistic with lights and colors and funny characters. Peggle is basically like a bunch of pegs that you have to shoot a ball at and achieve different things while you're doing it. A score or getting a certain amount of the pegs knocked out. And he actually liked it. It was one of those things with bright colors and fanciful characters. So he tolerated watching that. So I played, probably 3 hours of that in the last month, which is kind of nice because I haven't played that in forever and a day. What else?
No, it's pretty neat you bring that up. I don't know. Do you mind if we talk about our kids and playing games?
Sure.
I've been trying to get, I have my youngest son, Todd. He's all about games. Everybody who's been here at the channel, they know Todd fairly well. But my oldest son, Parker, I've been trying to get him in the same situation that Joe was just talking, but he'll come up to the screen and he'll look at what we're playing. Like, say Todd and I are playing Mario Kart or the new Mario Wonder, which I'll do a stream of that here probably this coming week. But he'll watch it for like 5 seconds, right? He'll be interested in it, and then he just goes off and does something else. And I have tried so hard to get him into the game. I even bought that Peppa Pig game, and it's terrible, but he loves Peppa Pig. So I was trying to be like, give him the controller and let him, you move the joystick around so he can understand that he's moving the character. And he goes, okay, cool. And then he plays with it, and then he starts hitting the start button and opening the menus up. And it's just like, all right. And he just ruins, he kind of like messes up the gameplay. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's kind of funny how two different kids are different. Like one kid picked it up, no problem, when he was 2.5 years old. And the other kid's now 6, and he just does not care. So it's different.
Enough. My brother has 2 kids as well, and his kids are kind of similar. His oldest, it's actually kind of the reverse of your situation. His oldest took to video games really well. He plays Minecraft a lot with his kid. And I'm trying to remember, there was the Pokemon games they play a lot. He's shockingly good at that. He's only 6, but he's shockingly good at the Pokemon games, and he's kind of obsessed with Pokemon. And Minecraft, he likes to do the creative stuff, but his youngest kid is almost 4, and he hasn't really gotten into it a whole lot. He watches them, he sees what they're doing, but he's not particularly interested in it. I don't know if that's a understanding the concept of what a video game is, because it's pretty bizarre if you try to extrapolate that one out into its simplest terms. Like if you're trying to figure out how to explain anything to a child, where you try to make it its most simple terms. Like video games are a bizarre kind of phenomenon anyway, because you're basically manipulating something in front of you as if it's real, and it's like its own little real thing in the picture box. Kind of like if a kid watches a movie, right? Like at the point a kid has to figure out that what they're watching actually isn't real. But for a period of time, they probably think what they're seeing on a TV is real and actually happening. So I mean, it's an interesting thing. Video games are an escape from reality, but they're their own reality by themselves. So it's got to be a weird thing to try to understand as a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, what else is going on with you? What else you want to get into?
Oh.
I normally have a list of like what's going on, but there's like things I can't talk about. Like I can't talk about Majora's Mask, right? Like specifically that one game. And I really haven't played anything because, as you know, I went on that family emergency where I actually ended up talking to you about video games. I was like, hey, you come on the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Mirage. I could talk about that, but is there something else you want to talk about before we get into Assassin's Creed?
Sure. Yeah. Have you played any sport video games recently? Because it's been forever and a day since I've played.
No, I tried to get into Madden 19. I was on a long work trip, and I picked it up on one of my stops. And this is at this time, Cleo Mack was traded from the Raiders to the Bears. As a Bears fan, I wanted to play with Cleo Mack on my defense, and they didn't update the roster. You would have had to bought the next iteration.
Of course.
And I got pretty upset, so I played like 5 games, and I turned it off. I never played it again. So yeah.
Yeah, I've had a hard time getting into professional sports. I mean, I played sport video games my entire life. But ironically, the most recent sports video game I played was College Hoops 2K8.
Nice.
I have a tendency to just enjoy playing college sports more for multiple reasons, but I think the biggest thing is that it's really hard. I like to play all the games, right? So like if you have a season in college, the maximum amount of games that you would have been playing was 14 games over that course of season. But if you're playing in the NFL, like by the time you're done, you're at like 22 games, and it just takes forever. It's a slog to get through a whole season.
Yeah.
Same thing with the NBA, man. 82 games, can't do that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, and when people do it, it's wild. Like I used to play MLB, not the show, but like 2K, whatever. I think it was 2K9. I got really big into in college.
Yep.
And I don't even think I finished one season. And there's other people there like doing like 40 seasons. It's like, ah, man, how do you play this much baseball?
Well, and your modern iterations of like NBA, for instance, there's people who spend, I think the most recent thing I saw, because 2K has My Career, which is its own little microtransaction nightmare, but the person who was the first person to get their character to number 1 or whatever for their position, because there's a thing on there where you climb the ladder for your position to be like the best at the position ever in the history of the NBA. He spent all the time, and there's like just this like little small animation that plays, and it was like, I don't know, like 15 days of his life that he spent in time playing. Yeah, like obviously that guy has time. If he's spending that much time, he has time. He could be spending it on something else for sure, but one would assume that he's not, working 80 hours, 50 hours a week or whatever doing that. So kudos to those people if they enjoy doing it, but it does make me really sick to my stomach that anyone can do one thing for that long.
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe, like, I don't get it that somebody would do, like, I could play video games that long, don't get me wrong, but I can't do one video game, Like, I have played probably close to 1,000 hours of Apex Legends over 4 years now, but I haven't picked that game up in about 6 months just because I played so much of it. I can't anymore. I'm over it.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of time where like you get to like the pinnacle of interaction, right? Once you lose the nuance of playing a video game, it stops being fun.
Yeah.
Call of Duty get there sometimes. Like I think the longest I ever played a Call of Duty game was the original Black Ops. I think I played for in the entire totality of that game being played, right? So like when the game first came out to probably the week after the next COD game came out, I played 15 days, like straight up 15 days over the course of an entire year.
Yeah.
And there were people that had played, 80 days, 90 days or something on there. Like, I just can't even imagine because obviously, that was at the end of the cycle. I was like, man, I'm done playing this game at 15 days. And there were people that had quadrupled that.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
That's what people do, man. And like at that time too, Twitch streaming really wasn't a thing. So they weren't like getting paid. I mean, I think maybe it just took off. I think YouTube was around. Even then though, streams weren't a thing. That was what, 2010? I think that came out.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Sounds like a lonely existence.
Yeah. But you know what? If that's what they want to do, man, that's awesome. But I can't do it.
Yeah, if like more power to you. Like if I could enjoy doing something like that for sure, but I gotta spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I gotta have different colors in my eyes sometimes.
And speaking of that, did you hear that all the Call of Duties they fixed all the lobbies so you can go back and play them? Have you done that since they've done that?
No. When did that happen?
About 2 months ago. So actually, I got a real big kick into it. I was playing it for a while. I've streamed a couple of those games. Might have been on Twitch, but yeah. So Microsoft, because they acquired Activision a few months ago. Microsoft went back and fixed all the lobbies of those older games. They basically reset them. And they did some sort of magic where they kicked out most of the cheaters, and a lot of people went back. So I spent a lot of time on the original Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2. And yeah. And I did a little bit of World at War, but World at War is still kind of broken. And Modern Black Ops 2 is still busted pretty bad. That's full of cheaters. So
interesting.
Yeah, so if you ever want to get on that, I'm down.
Go back and run around in some of those maps. There's definitely some favorite maps that would be fun to go back and at least run around in.
Yeah, it's super nostalgic, and it's only what 15 years ago those came. Oh, hang on, what is it? Yeah, about 13 years that came out now.
Yeah.
And super nostalgic, I wish I could get back and play Modern Warfare, like the original one, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, but a few years ago I kind of went back just to goof around and see if I could still play it. I was playing on a hacked lobby or something, and some guy, he got me banned for playing with him, so I can't on my current game. Yeah, I don't know what it was, so I can't even get in it and play. So whatever. I can play the remastered edition, which I played a little bit of, but it's not the same.
So. Yeah, interesting.
And on that Call of Duty, have you seen anything about the new one, or did you get to play the beta at all?
I did not get to play the beta at all. I was interested because I didn't buy the last iteration of COD. I played this last iteration of Warzone, but never actually purchased the last Call of Duty game. But I've heard the same things you hear every time any Call of Duty game comes out. Oh, it's stupid, it's the same game. Oh, they just updated the maps. it's still full of cheaters, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. But like that's kind of what people say every time a COD game comes out. So basically, if it looks good and plays good, it should probably be a good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was very smooth. It was a lot of the maps that they're going to bring out are from Modern Warfare 2, the original one from 2009. So it's just kind of feels like a remaster of Modern Warfare 2 in a way, but it's going to have its own story and whatnot. So I will not pay $70 for it. However, I will wait for a sale, and I will probably pick it up when I'm feeling weak. Yeah.
See, so I actually maybe this is a negative opinion. I would totally be supportive of them, using original maps, updating them, putting them in the game. One, if the game starts out that way with all of the maps that were in the original game, right? So not just the base maps, but all of the maps that were in the original game, and then all of the updates they do after that adds new stuff. But like you have to like include all of that. Like you can't just reskin the original maps and go, oh, yep, here we go. That's all you're getting. Because they've done that in previous Call of Duty games that have been released, where like they will it's basically just a reskin of a map that has already come out that everybody's played on 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation with my brother about that. Like the problem with reskinning a Call of Duty map is that it's still the same gameplay you experience on the map, because that's how the map is. The maps are designed with certain choke points,
Yep.
with certain spots. So like basically you're getting rid of my playable value, right? Like we discussed, if you're spending 15 hours playing something, like I don't get any enjoyment out of playing it if I've already played that exact map for hours and hours and hours, because the gameplay is going to be exactly the same. Even if they add, a different gun or some, gameplay mechanic, it's still the same gameplay on that map.
Yep. I completely agree. I mean, I don't want to say it's a complete like remaster or any of the way, but it felt very familiar as I've played it before, and it felt good though. So, but it also kind of was like what, 14 years since that game came out, so it's been a while since I played a lot of those maps. So it was a beta, so I only had I did the beta where it was free for everybody, so I had one night to play, and then I had to go on a little work trip right after, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to play, so I didn't get that much time with it, but I did enjoy my time that I did have with it. But I'm still not paying $70, and like I'll pay $40 for that game.
Yeah. Seems more reasonable.
Yeah, but now that Microsoft has acquired Activision, I foresee seeing the COD Modern Warfare 3 coming out in Game Pass sooner than later. They already said they can't put it out this year on Game Pass. They didn't say anything about January 1st, so I'm assuming first or second quarter in 24 it'll be on Game Pass.
Yeah, which also leads you not to want to purchase it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if they have a higher library of Call of Duty games, which will be insane if they do that. I've always wondered if they would piece something together like the Master Chief Collection with Call of Duty games.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, because like that would be insane if you could essentially just get in like a giant Call of Duty map lobby mayhem of games. It would be awesome, but I have no idea the amount of technical expertise that would go into that, because like most of the Master Chief stuff is similar, like more similar between games than the Call of Duty stuff is, because there's some pretty wide sweeping changes.
Yeah,
I
but
say that.
Depending on what map you're on depends on what game it's from. So if you have a map from Halo 2, you're playing under Halo 2 rules and physics. So it wouldn't be that hard. This obviously this is an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, but in my brain, my pea-sized brain, how hard would it be just to make a big, like you said, lobby, or I don't know what that'd be called, a gameplay. What am I thinking of? if you combine it all together under one fucking selection of saying like mayhem of Call of Duty maps, and you have all these different games and you can select which ones you want to play, just like in Halo you can say I want to admit Halo 4 because I don't like the way Halo 4 plays, but then you can get into all these different lobbies at the same time. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would certainly be I don't want to call it a console seller, but that would certainly be a selling point for Xbox if they could put something together that was that wide ranging, that would allow people to specifically play what they want from when they want.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
You could if you'd put in the tools to create custom lobbies and stuff.
They might be doing that because Phil Spencer said, it goes, hey, we can't just put these out right now. There might be a reason why he can't do that, because remember when Bethesda was bought by Microsoft, the day after that paper was signed, all the Bethesda games are out. Like if you want to play Doom, like Doom 2016, it was on Game Pass, like boom, done, day one. And everything new since then, like Starfield, right, day one on Game Pass. And they haven't done that. Microsoft officially acquired them like 2 weeks ago, right? Something like that. And it's not out yet. So maybe they're doing that, Joe. You might be onto something. That would be awesome.
That would be cool. I would be ecstatic if that was the case.
Now, do you own any of those games still?
Yeah, most of them like historically, like older ones were disc based. Because I always purchased discs back in the day and didn't purchase digitally. But in like the last, I don't know, I want to say 8 or 9 years, almost all of the COD stuff I've purchased has been digitally. So yeah.
Okay. We can hop in at some point and play together if you want. Like if you got time. I got all of them except Modern or Black Ops 3. It's the only one I don't have. But I can fix that. I can go pick it up.
Yeah. It's probably, well, I say it shouldn't be that bad, but last I checked, that because they kind of reset the market at some point, some of that older stuff has gotten back up to like $30, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Get the disc.
Yeah. I had the disc. I went to that midnight release too, but I didn't like the game, so I just traded it in. And I didn't even need to. I didn't need the money. I just didn't want to look at it anymore. I was so disappointed in it. So, I don't know. It just wasn't my cup of tea, but I got all the other ones. I have them all physical, except for Modern Warfare 2. I actually have had that one multiple times, and I keep giving my disc away so people could borrow it and play it, and I never get it back. And so I just bought it digitally so I can't give it away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense to stop giving it away, but I don't know.
Well, you learned your lesson, though. You know if you're going to lend it out, that you have to have it digitally, so you can just tell people, nope, I just have it digitally.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just gave it away like 2 months ago to a buddy, and I actually went when it happened. I was like, yeah, let's play. And then I gave it to him, and then I didn't hear nothing from him. And then, yeah, I don't know. Just whatever. He can just play with it. I don't care. But yeah, man. Well, we gotta hop on and do some that original Black Ops. I think that one's held up the best out of all of them. And Modern Warfare 2 did okay, but they obviously left all the bugs in there still. So a lot of people are using what was meta, and you just kind of get destroyed real quick. Whereas Black Ops, you kind of have a chance. So.
Yeah, I played a lot of that game. At the very end, because I had, like I said, kind of started to lose the nuance of playing it. I was doing like tomahawks only. Just only trying to use tomahawks to get kills. And that game had the record play feature. Like you go back and watch recorded games. So I'd go back and clip some of the cooler tomahawk kills. Like I had a couple that were like cross map through a window, like actually aiming, not like random throwing cross map, because those obviously are cool, but those are accidental. And the tomahawk on there would bounce too, which was kind of fun. So you could like throw it on the ground in front of somebody and it would like roll bounce towards them.
Oh yeah, all good times, man. That's sick. Oh, do you have the Master Chief Collection? I know you brought it up, but do you have that too?
I do.
hell yeah, we can get on that as well. I bought it thinking I would spend a crap ton of time on it, and I just never really got on because like I never had anybody who wanted to play that. Everybody that I've been playing with recently has always wanted to play Apex and nothing but Apex, and I had to get away from Apex.
Yeah, Apex is the cool thing now. That game, unfortunately, it sounds like murdered the next Titanfall game.
Well,
because they were Titanfall, they made that.
Yeah, have you been watching the news or the rumors lately?
I have not heard anything about Titanfall, no.
Okay, well, let me enlighten you and everybody else that might listen to this at any point in time. So they updated Titanfall 2, and they updated and they fixed the lobby. So if we want to right now, we can hop into Titanfall 2, which was by far my favorite single player game of all time. But I didn't get much into Titanfall Online because I played it much later. I played it in 2019. I didn't play it back in 2016. However, they have fixed the lobbies. Same thing they did with Call of Duty. Respawn came back, fixed all the lobbies, right? And there's rumors now, because they have actually added updates to the game and fixed it, that they are going to release a Titanfall 3 like this week, or like the announcement of Titanfall 3 is coming this week. So that's the rumor.
I love Titanfall, man. That game was so much fun.
Yeah. The single player was my favorite. It was so good.
A lot of people, that was like the best campaign they've ever played, was the one for Titanfall 2.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's had a lot of really good praise over the years.
Yeah, it's the movement, man. The movement and the gunplay was so silky smooth. It rivals Half-Life for me as a game that just blew my mind. I remember I played it. I was on a work trip with a buddy. Actually, Dave, he's on this channel too quite a lot. Him and I, that's kind of how this whole thing started too. Like every morning we come out and talk about playing video games, and we're both playing Titanfall 2. And I told him, like, I have to cut myself off every night because I am so scared I'm gonna beat this in like a 1 night or a 2 night sitting. It took me like 4 nights, but I purposely made myself go to bed early so I can have something to look forward to the next day, so I didn't beat it too quick. I've never done that with a game. It's so good. And then I went back and beat it on hard, which that was tougher, but it was very doable. Very good game.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I had a video game that I was like, oh man, I want to stop playing so I have something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's the only one that's ever done that to me. It's wild. But yeah, we gotta get out and play some Titanfall, man. We've got so many games we're gonna have to play together. And you're an Xbox guy, so it makes it easy. Unlike Mikey, he's a PlayStation nerd. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
Oh, the PlayStation people.
I think the console wars too are hilarious. Like, who really cares what plastic you bought? You know, you're doing the same thing, right? We're all gaming, but it's just frustrating to try to get the game chats together. You know, that's the hard part.
Yeah, but what is nice now, to kind of put an end on the console war stuff, not that it'll ever end, but a lot of video games that have come out recently that are multiplayer based actually do console mixing, which is phenomenal, because that was kind of the thing that was keeping a lot of people just purchasing a particular console. Like in my instance, right, I get the same consoles as my brother because he and I play together a lot, but if Sony, in most cases, is what it seems like is the biggest problem. If Sony would just get on board and let people play with each other, I think people would just purchase the console that they want. In most cases, people that purchase a PlayStation would purchase a PlayStation anyway. They would just be able to play with their friends that have Xboxes.
Right. And they've done that crossplay recently, but as a streamer, in a sense, it's very frustrating and difficult for me to get everybody on the same page on like the same game chat. And if you're on, say, Xbox, right, and I'm on PlayStation, we can't use a party, an Xbox party, right? Because that only would be on the Xbox side. Whereas the only game I can play cross-gen and actually get audio from PlayStation and Xbox guys is Call of Duty. Call of Duty has it figured out, but the chat's not very good. It's just okay. So
it works. It doesn't work well.
yes. And then the other way to do it is use Discord. Then that's just a whole nother nightmare because you have to get Discord on your console and then get in the lobby, and then I have to play around with OBS. It's a whole pain in the ass. Whereas if you just use the party from Xbox, whatever it's called, chat, party, whatever, it works flawlessly. And I can turn you up, turn you down, it's so much easier. So I can even mute you if I want to without even leaving the game. It's all right there.
Yeah, that would be more convenient.
Yeah, but that's just I'm like the 1% that's upset about that. Other than that, they've got it figured out pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with everything else they've done. So, but all right, what else do you want to get into? Okay, how about this? I'm gonna ask you a question. What's your favorite game of all time?
Ooh, I think that's a difficult question for most people to answer. I think let's see, if I split it into like a category of multiple games, that'll probably be easier. A game that I spent a lot of time playing that you may not have played, that would be on my top 5 list, just simply based on my interaction playing it with my brother, his wife, and my wife, is Ark Survival Evolved.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you ever played that.
I have about 5 minutes, and I was naked and I couldn't do anything, so I turned it off.
Yeah, you also probably played it online. So you can play like private servers, which means no one else comes in and do stuff.
Yeah.
But we all played. I built a server out on an extra Xbox because we had another Xbox laying around, and then we would all join the server. So we had like an instance that we could all be in and play around and go wherever we wanted, because otherwise you'd be tethered to a certain player if you just joined in to their game. But that game I played a stupid amount. Minecraft, because you can basically do anything you want in it all the time. Fallout 4, I've played a ridiculous amount of due to the settlement system stuff on there and survival mode. I'm pretty sure everybody on the planet would mention Skyrim in there as well, just based on playtime. Yeah, I think that's probably a good swash of games there. And then obviously the old school college sports games. NCAA 14 I played a lot of. Most recently I played 08 and 06, probably 06 more recently. And then college basketball 2K8 I played a lot of too.
Nice, all solid games. I'm kind of surprised by the older college games, but you know, that's great. Like, that's what you want to get into. That's awesome. That's good. Everybody does their thing.
It's cool because the last NCAA football game wasn't super great. Like gameplay wise, basically I've played that game so much that it's difficult for me to play it without cheating. Any sports game, if you play it long enough, the term people normally use is cheesing.
Yep.
Cheesing the system, or for certain NBA games, you could basically just run down the sideline and get to the baseline and score. And so that's kind of how NCAA 14 became for me, because I could basically run 2 or 3 plays on the highest difficulty with the worst team in the game and still win. Just because you can cheat the system.
Yep.
The college basketball game was a bit different. It was more difficult to cheat in that one. But I just like building teams out. It's fun.
Yeah, I totally get the cheesing part. I remember in 2K9, the baseball 2K9, there was a weird glitch. If you played as a certain player, you hit the ball in the outfield, the defense wouldn't move. And so every time he came up to bat, I had an infield, in the field home run. Sorry, my brain is not working right now. I do not know what's wrong. But yeah, it was fantastic. I guess not fantastic, but it was like I cheesed it, right? Every time it came up, I knew I was going to cheese it. So,
yeah, it was helpful.
yeah. No, I get that. That's fun. So Yeah, it's always fun to see what people's top 5 games are, just top games are, and obviously you like Bethesda, so that's good. Are you excited for Skyrim 6? What do they call it? Elder Scrolls 6. That's it.
Yeah, I'd say tentatively excited. So Skyrim, I actually find because I was busy with life for most of when Skyrim was at its peak of popularity. Uh, it's nice to revisit and go back to because everything is fixed and improved. I think we'll see if time agrees with me on this, but Starfield, for instance, I think most people are underwhelmed with it because they compare it to what Skyrim is now instead of what Skyrim was when it came out. And I think Starfield will probably be a really good game 10 years from now.
Okay, so
And so
how do you feel about that? Like games evolving. Do you think that's okay? Like, how do I put it? Do you think it's fair for us to judge a game the way it comes out and then judge it again in 10 years? Or do you think like it should be judged what it is day one?
I think it should be judged twice. And the main reason I say that is because as a avid fan, I forgot to mention this one in my top 5 group because this one would have made it too. But an avid fan of No Man's Sky, that game is the perfect example of I'm pissed at this thing for not being as good as it should be, and now people are like, how did this even become what it has become? And so like there are many games that come out and are underwhelming, and I honestly think that people should give crap to the publisher. You know, like the jank around Fallout 76, for instance, which I didn't play because I didn't have money when that game came out, but Bethesda deserved all the hate that they got for that, man. People paid full price for a game that didn't work, and now that game is a good game. So like it's a different kind of evaluation, and I understand if anybody paid full price for Fallout 76 when it came out, being pissed about it and getting a refund or not wanting to play Bethesda games anymore. Totally get it. But like the amount of work a developer can do afterwards to fix a game, I think is pretty cool. I just don't think that because the people who work on the games are the ones that are actually doing that. The people who push out games that aren't ready is in most cases the publisher who wants to make lots of money. CD Projekt Red is another good example.
Yep.
Cyberpunk came out and was like, an okay glitchy game, right? Like there were a lot of cool things with it. Like it had bits and pieces of what people wanted, but it had like the soul was removed from the game. And now that they've had time to fix everything, put everything in that should have been in there in the first place, it's a really good game, and most people recognize that it's a good game now. But honestly, CD Projekt Red or Bethesda doesn't really deserve credit for that as much as their employees do, because those are the people that are pouring the hours into those games and turning them into something people can experience over and over again and actually enjoy, as opposed to the janky mess that they released 76 in or Cyberpunk in, where like stuff literally respawns and despawns when you turn your head, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah. So my whole issue, I agree with like everything you said there. It should be judged twice, and the publishers push games out too quick. But my issue I take up is, let's just use Cyberpunk 77 here for an example. They put out an expectation, or they put out what they want this game to be in the end, right? They're saying it can do this, it can do that, but then that is not reality when the game comes out. And I'm upset by 2 reasons here, 2 different things. Like, we as the consumers didn't say, hey, we want you to make this style of game. And I guess in a sense we do as we buy these games anyways, but we don't say we expect the game to look like this, nor are we telling them when we want it out, right? The publisher and the developers all set those rules on themselves. And I'm totally fine with them delaying games. I'm fine with that. If you can't make a game on the time that you set, okay, delay it. But give yourself a decent, like, like a check, like check yourself and like say like, hey, if I want this game out by December 24, like be like 99% sure it's coming out December 24. You know what I mean? Kind of how Nintendo does it. They won't like tell you about that game until that game's almost done. So like, except for Metroid Prime 4, right? That's another story. But they also have just fixed that. Like Mario Wonder, right? That just came out last week or the week before. And we didn't know about that game until really this summer, E3, right? And then that came out 3 months later. And I think that's really good practicing. A really good practice that Nintendo does is they're not gonna crunch, they're not gonna push the game too hard, and yet they are like I don't know how to put it, like they are the golden boys of the video game industry right now because of their quality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Todd Howard, the Bethesda liar, if you will,
Yeah.
guy who tells stories.
Yeah.
I'll say it like that.
Love his jackets.
He said that if it was up to him, he wouldn't announce a game until it was basically ready to release. Like he said, in his honest opinion, he would announce the game 1 week before the game was going to be put out, and that would be all of the buzz that the game would need. And I think a lot of that is that because he's seen the backlash and he's seen how that stuff works, is that that gives him essentially the ability to say when the game's ready or when it's not. A great example that is the exact opposite of what you're talking about, that specifically involves Bethesda, is that Starfield was supposed to come out like a year ago.
Yeah. Yep.
And the game still launched, and people are kind of like, meh.
Yep.
So imagine if that game had come out when they were originally supposed to push that out. Like,
oh yeah, that'd be terrible.
Horrible. And they've already basically Bethesda has kind of owned up to the fact that like they had a bunch of systems in the game they basically dumbed down because they wanted it to be more, in their words, more marketable to the average consumer, because it was going to be a little bit too hardcore, lean a little bit too much into complexity. And I honestly think that's a cop-out. I think they're just saying that because they didn't get their systems to work together appropriately.
100%.
And they probably delayed the game further. But yeah, Nintendo never really has those issues. I mean, their delays are normally like 3 months or 6 months. At the most, and normally their game will come out and be a functional game that doesn't need to be updated over and over again.
Yeah, they might update something here and there, but it's fantastic. Like, okay, yeah, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, wasn't that delayed a little bit? I believe it was, but something I hate that is becoming a norm is a game's concept is figured out, just the idea, right? Let's take Perfect Dark for example. And they put out a trailer. They get the consumer excited. But the whole point of that trailer is to get developers to come to that studio to work on that project that hasn't even really been started yet. So now, I'm sitting here in 2023, like, can't wait for Perfect Dark to come out. I know I'm being greedy. As a consumer, I shouldn't be greedy. I should just be thankful for what comes out, because it's just a video game. Who really cares? But anyways, Perfect Dark was, I think that was announced in 18 or 19. It's been almost 5 years since this game's been announced, and I know it's going through developmental hell right now. However, I don't think they should have even announced it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of games like that. Ubisoft has their
Skull and Bones. Yeah.
That just keeps getting delayed and delayed. Which I'm all for the idea of delaying a game if it's not ready to go to market, but like at some point just go, we'll tell you about it when it's ready.
Yeah, with that one though, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, because I think the country of Malaysia put up money for it as an investment, and it's just not going well. So Ubisoft has to push this game. This should have been like canceled years ago, but because a government industry was, or a government, whatever you want to call it, so money from a government was invested in here, they have to do something. So I hope it's good, man. I hope it's gonna be good. I'm not personally gonna buy it, but if it comes out on Game Pass, I'll check it out. They
didn't really have to do a whole lot anyway. They should have just taken to coin a phrase, the skull and bones from Assassin's Creed and just put it in there, right? We already had a pirate video game, and it was Assassin's Creed, so just get rid of assassin stuff and make it a freaking pirate game.
Right. Which is kind of funny. That's the worst part of that game, in my opinion. I did not like the pirate ship part. I liked the assassin part. Probably play Assassin's Creed.
So I always hear people talk fondly of the pirate stuff. I always thought the pirate stuff was too minimal and too much of a distraction in between the other stuff that you were doing.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were discussing with the Peter Parker thing before.
Yeah.
But the thing that pissed me off the most about it is that like there were all of these upgrades and certain things that you could do. You collect resources to upgrade stuff, but it never really felt like you were doing anything. It just kind of felt like in most Ubisoft games, everything you do in those games, it never really feels like you're doing anything. You're just checking boxes.
Exactly, and that's how I'm feeling about Assassin's Creed Mirage right now. And I think you and I discussed this earlier, and if anybody's watched my recent, or I guess my streams as of a week ago, it got pretty boring, which is sad because I'm only about 10 hours into the game. So.
Too much talking or just too much of the same thing?
Same thing. There's no talking. Like, the cutscenes are minimal, which is very nice. However, it's the same thing as climb a tower, check a location, go do what's in that location, and if you get sent on a mission in that area, it's the same mission. Here's somebody we have to kill. First, take out the base, and then kill that person. Which is kind of nice. They give you the the freedom to kill them however you want. However, it's the same thing. Like, they have like 2 buildings inside a courtyard, and it's honestly a super easy game. The combat's difficult, but if you get the right upgrades, like you can get these knives that you can throw. So not only can I throw from a pretty far distance, there's poison involved in it. So when I hit them, I'm not gonna kill them if I'm too far away, but the poison is there and it slowly kills them anyways. And then I upgrade it again. As soon as they die, their body disappears. So like, I'll just sit there and I have a recharge on my knife. So all I got to do is go to the area they just were, pick my knife back up, and then I can do it again. It's no skill.
Upgrades in video games where you're like, okay, I get the poison knife part. You're like, okay, that seems assassiny. Yeah. And then your next upgrade is body disappears. And you're like, okay, immersion broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's a video game, right? And I'm jumping off of a tower into a sack of hay. But I'm going to, like, you know, totally, they went too far. They went totally too far. Yeah, I can survive this. No, but yeah. I don't know. I was so excited for a return to form for Assassin's Creed, because that's another game that I got real big into with Ezio and, well, even Altair in the first game, but it didn't land, you know? Like, I don't know. It's a super mediocre game.
The game was 3 with I can't remember his formal name.
Connor, I believe.
Yeah, Connor was his English name, but everybody I know dislikes that game, and that was my favorite one to play through.
I dislike that one.
I loved Connor.
Let me tell you why I dislike it.
It's great though.
I loved running through the trees, right? That was smooth, slick. Love that. I like the time frame, right? 1700s America. I love that. However, I did not particularly like when you had to assassinate somebody, you had a target. There wasn't an option on how you wanted to kill them. They gave you a route where you had to kill them. And
that's true.
I hated that, because I'd be like, okay, here's my chance. I'm going to go get him. And sometimes I just want to run and like just run at him and stab him and then like run away. They did not let you do that in that game. Like, if you ran away, it pulls you out of like the animus, whatever they want to talk about, and then be like, hey, that wasn't how it happened. Try it again. It's like, I don't know what fucking happened.
Yeah, I was there.
No,
I agree with that critique. I think, honestly, most games, if they took place in the latter half of the 1700s in the United States, I'd probably be abnormally interested in them. So that's fair. I really like the tomahawk.
Yeah.
I thought that was sick. I liked Connor's character in general. I thought his motivation was better than most characters. Because in most of the NCO is a good example. His motivation is great, like through his whole arc. Altair's is basically just I'm an assassin in this group and I'm trying to kill the bad guy, and that's kind of how I feel about most of the other antagonists or protagonists, is that it's basically just I'm an assassin, I'm going to kill some people.
Yeah.
But NCO had like a real backstory, and Connor I felt like was grounded in the late 1700s, had a connection with American history in like a really weird way, and obviously they played that out with his dad being a Templar, which was weird and bizarre to start that game and play as a Templar and be like, what is going on? But I also played it way after that game actually came out, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played it like 2018.
Oh man, that's recent. Dang, okay. That's good. Yeah, I played it day one it came out, because I remember I was on a long work trip, and I just couldn't get to play Brotherhood or Revelations. So within 2 months, I crushed through those two, and then I was a day one buyer of Assassin's Creed 3. Because, do you remember how good the commercial was for that game?
Yeah.
That cool. And I think Gears of War 4 had the best commercials. Yeah, it was 4.
There's not a lot of good video game commercials anymore.
No, not like they were back then. Like, I get goosebumps.
Straight up CGI and don't really relate to the game, and it's they're too generic now, I think, or too saturated in their own franchises. Like if you see a Madden commercial or a NBA commercial, like meh.
Yeah, no thank you. But yeah, for sure. Assassin's Creed games I very much enjoy, or I did. I gotta go back and play them again. I bought the Ezio collection on Xbox here recently. I meant to go through a little bit, but I got distracted with Majora's Mask. So we'll see. I'll get around to it. My wife Jessie's been getting mad at me for buying too many video games lately, so I gotta stop.
Yeah, see, the problem is that most people who play video games also like to think about playing video games, which means that if you buy it, then you can think about playing it.
Yeah, dude, I'm just looking at my stack right now in front of me. I have to play all the Zeldas. Like, I've purchased in the last 6 months every iteration of the Zelda, even the GameCube version of Twilight Princess. I definitely have to play that. I've spent too much on it. All of the Metroid Primes, and that's just GameCube. Probably spent another $300 on original Xbox that I just haven't touched yet. I have 4 different versions of Half-Life 2.
Right there, man.
Dude, yeah. And Super Nintendo, I just bought F-Zero just to make my collection even. Because I'll send you a picture of what it is. I'm going to do a video here shortly on my game room that I'm currently building. And I'm doing like pictures of how it kind of evolves. And I've stacked my games up, my cartridge games. And Super Nintendo wasn't an even stack, next to each other. So I bought F-Zero to even it out. It was either that or Super Punch-Out. And Super Punch-Out was like $50, or F-Zero was like $15, I think I paid.
Yeah, that seems much more reasonable.
Yeah, less likely to get yelled at.
Yeah.
So I did that. Oh, and my buddy Dave, the last podcast we did, actually, we started talking about Nintendo Switch Online and the N64 controller. And they were in stock, so he bought 2. And he sent me one, and it's just sitting here in the box, sealed. Just so I can have a sealed in-box controller. The N64 controller. I'll never play it, but it's just there.
Nice.
I in a sense, have a problem. I have to stop.
It's probably good then that you aren't super into PC gaming, because the Steam backlog that people talk about is a real thing. I've been able to avoid it simply because I don't have money. But I still get emails and I still have everything wishlisted, so I get messages about when stuff's on sale. But just when I bought the Steam Deck, I think I got, because I basically just found several packages that were really cheap, and then obviously got stuff I knew I would play. Like the Skyrim Anniversary Edition was only like $15, so
Yeah.
bought that because I knew, oh, of course I'm gonna play that. But I think I got like, I don't know, 25 games, and I only spent like maybe $30. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Something that's kind of off topic, but a little bit about spending money. Did you ever get into Nintendo Powers or ever get those magazines as a kid?
Yeah, I think I probably had a few of them. I don't know if I ever subscribed to Nintendo Power, but I definitely had a few of the magazines.
Okay. There's this new thing out. I wouldn't say new, but fairly new. New to me that I found out about. It's called Nintendo Force. Now, it's a bunch of the guys who worked on Nintendo Powers, or they were in the gaming industry one way or another. Well, they wanted to have a physical copy of a Nintendo magazine, and Nintendo Power stopped. It was stopped being a thing, right? Because the internet kind of came along. But guys like myself who are super nostalgic for physical copies of things, well, they started their own magazine called Nintendo Force, and it's like a $5 subscription on Patreon, and they send you a magazine every 2 months or so with the poster. It's exactly like Nintendo Power, but it's, you know, made for this month, and
That's
it's
cool.
super nostalgic. Yeah, definitely hop on it if that's something you want to get into. And you're not, it's $5, man. It's like a coffee, right? So my wife doesn't get too mad about it, and she thinks I'm a fucking nerd, but it's not wrong.
Yeah, it's weird, the craving for some of that nostalgic stuff. I still have some Game Informers from way back in the day that I haven't gotten rid of, just because I remember. I think one of them is the announcement of Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and it's like whole centerpiece thing on there. It's just so cool to go back and look at that stuff, and to have something physical that you can actually look at. Like the I've heard people have similar comments and annoyances with buying modern disc-based games, because when you were a kid, you used to go buy it, and the whole way home you'd watch, like, you'd look at the manual that was in the game.
Oh yeah.
And you'd learn about it, you'd read about it, you'd see characters, see different bits and pieces about using the controller and stuff. So when you got home, you're ready to rock. And now it's just like a freaking picture. That's it.
Yep. Also, these guys, the same company, they wrote a book about Iwata, one of the, founders of the original Nintendo NES. Not original Nintendo, but of the gaming development side.
Yeah.
And it's on Kickstarter. I think they're doing another promotion on it now, but it's a whole book on it. I don't know. It's just super neat. Like, I like history, right? I'm a big history guy, and obviously I like video games, so I like video game history. And it's just something that's coming. I thought you might be interested, but it's out there. It's only
Cool.
$30, I think. I backed it for. I should be getting my copy here in December. But
Cool.
take a look at how much or what magazines you got and see what they're worth, because a lot of those magazines are going for a lot of money now.
Yeah, I should take a look. They're probably in pretty good shape. I think they've been in a box this whole time.
Yeah.
I know there were other ones in there that would probably be of interest to someone in the gaming community. I want to say I probably have 20 or 25 of them.
Oh, dude, definitely check it out. Use price charter too. They'll tell you kind of a good idea what it's worth. Not exactly what it's worth, but within the ballpark. I was at Retro Rick's the other day on my way back from where you live. And so you got Halfway Point there in Conway, Arkansas, and they had some pretty pricey magazines. They had the first copy of Nintendo Power. It was like $250 or something, sitting in their glass case. Obviously, I have no desire to buy that magazine, but they go for some money, man.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people that collect. I mean, there's people that collect everything, but especially stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of video game history.
Yeah, I started getting into strategy guides pretty big. Again, I had to stop because I was getting a little too into it, but
Yeah, I think everybody who's games. Loves a good video game strategy. I definitely have. I want to say Grand Theft Auto 3 still. I have Oblivion. My brother actually specifically went out and found like a really good version of the Oblivion strategy guide that we had as a kid because he just wanted it because we love that thing so much.
Yeah, you circle different parts and write your notes here and there. And I got a couple strategy guides from different games, and there's notes from kids in the back. And I obviously not from me, right? But it's kind of neat to see somebody else kind of used it. I have the Ocarina of Time Master Quest edition on GameCube, and in the manual there's a part that says notes, and some kid wrote his notes in there, and it kind of devalues it a little bit. However, it's kind of, I think it's cooler because that's somebody's childhood that it's now sitting on my game shelf of a super cool game. So I don't know, just
someone actually, but it didn't just sit there.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool. So. All right, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to talk about to conclude the podcast? Because we got just over an hour 20.
Nothing else I can think of right now.
Okay. All right, man. What game? Okay, what games are you looking forward to play? Like, what's next in the future for you?
It's sad to look at Game Pass and see how many cool things are on there that I haven't played.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I had reasonable amounts of time, I probably would play through more of Starfield because I was enjoying that while I was playing it. But I saw some Game Pass stuff that looked pretty interesting. Some of the newer stuff that was on there that I haven't gotten a chance to really interact with. I've heard people say positive things about Lies of P. I thought that one might be interesting. Yeah. Probably something different if I do pick something else up. Something that I haven't played something like is what I'll probably try to do. A while ago, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, it's all a blur at this point. I picked up Ori and the Blind Forest because I've never played that before.
What'd you get it on?
A couple hours of it, but I enjoyed it when I played it, so I'll probably try to find something different-esque like that.
Okay, did you get that on Steam or did you just play it on Game Pass?
That was on Game Pass.
Okay, nice. I played the first demo of it, or I played the first little bit of it, and I got super bummed. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I got pretty bummed about the beginning, and I just kind of put it down. I was like, man, this kind of made me sad. I think it was one of those nights where it was like you get 30 minutes to play, and I was like, man, I don't want to go back. That made me sad.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly how I felt when I played through the beginning of it. I was like, but it made me kind of gravitate towards the character because you're essentially trying to like rebuild the forest.
You're right. Yeah.
So it made me feel better about what I was doing, but I found out very quickly I'm bad at platform games. I'm just not good at them. It doesn't mean that I don't want to play them because I had fun playing it, and it just took me a really long time to be successful at different things. But in particular, I don't know if it's defined as a Metroidvania, but it definitely has elements. But it frustrates me when I get to a door I can't do anything with because I have to go somewhere else to be able to go back to it. The hard part for me is remembering to go back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, well, if you can do one thing for me, obviously, if you don't, I'm not going to be upset. I will not be upset. As try to play some Majora's Mask, so we can kind of get like a big discussion on this game. So myself, 3 other guys that are typically jump on the podcast. They all obviously had something else to do tonight, but they've all been playing Majora's Mask, and 2 of them I know beat it a few weeks ago, and I'm the last, and I'm hesitant to even get back on it. But if we can, and we're all playing on different things. Like I'm playing on the original N64. I think a few of them, or one of them played on the Switch. Somebody else played on the 3DS, and I think someone else played on the GameCube. See if you can maybe emulate it or something, and then or just like play like an hour or so into it, and just have like an opinion on it or something. So that's kind of be like we've been kind of trying to all get together to do a podcast just on Majora's Mask and Zelda stuff in general. But one guy is moving currently. He's leaving. He's moving from Hawaii back to the States, so he's kind of offline for a minute, and that's why he can't be here this time. But hopefully next week we can get in and do that. But obviously, if you can't, I don't know. Not a huge deal. You can definitely, you're still invited to the next one. So
yeah, I'll see if I can check it out. If I do, it will definitely be through emulation. So that might be at least a interesting talking point around it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Is everybody have a different way to play that game? Because there's so many different ways, right? Like I just mentioned a few. I don't even think I mentioned all of them. And the one thing nobody's really been able to do, and the guys I play with, we're not smart. We're not computer guys like yourself. So we don't really understand how to do emulation without destroying our computers, so we just don't. So
fair enough. I definitely wouldn't define myself as a smart computer guy, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, yeah. But I think you're much better at computers than I am, so yeah. But all right, man. I think we'll just leave it here. Yeah. Any final thoughts or conclusion statements?
No, I appreciate you having me on. It's nice to talk about video games.
Dude, it is really nice. I try to explain stuff to my wife about stuff, and she's like, I don't care. I was like, okay. I'll go find someone to talk to, and that's what I got. So, but, all right, dude. Yeah.